So, what we're going to talk today is really about, I'm hoping that this is going to be empowering for all of you. And actually more than that, just fun, like for the next half an hour. I just want us to have fun. And a lot of what Michael said is true. There are a whole lot of things going on in our world. We all know that. There's lots of things going on in our classroom. There is constant change, and somewhat that can be overwhelming. So when I started to think about what I was going to talk about, and I guess first of all, I want to really thank everybody from the Academy for having me do it. I've not done a keynote in the 12 years that our Academy has existed, so I'm really excited to be the keynote speaker this year. And I'll also say that in the midst of all of the things that have been going on in this world, putting this together has given me a lot of joy. And as I walked out my door this morning, my husband said, "I'm so glad you're doing this because you're actually happy." So, which is great, right? And I've got on my happy polka dots. So it's like made me re-look at the world in a little bit different way. So I hope that after the next half hour, you'll think of things maybe just a little bit differently, and it'll bring you a little bit more joy. And we can celebrate all of the joy that we do have, and then also think of some ways that we can sustain that joy. Oh, I clicked the microphone. See, this is going to be a really fun time. So this is really relevant. Last year, as we were coming up in the office for the Office of the AVP for Health Science Education, and thinking about our education strategy and how it links to our Impact 2030, which is the University of Utah's strategy. Now, this is the boring part. We're going to start off with just a little bit of context setting. But we actually had one of our goals was to promote joy in teaching and learning. And so this is part of that, right? We wanted to foster a culture where both faculty and students find fulfillment and engagement in the educational experience. So I hope that today you're going to be engaged in this, because I do have some activities for everybody to do. And I am going to ask for some audience participation in this also, so that you're not only hearing me talk, but you're thinking about what's going on in your lives, what's joyful. So start to think of those things. Start to think about what kinds of things bring you joy in education. So there is some science behind this. This is my only science slide, and I don't actually know much about it, so that's kind of it, is all I'm really going to say in some ways. The Institute for Healthcare Improvement does have a whole strategy for finding joy in work. The folks from the Resiliency Center are more attuned to the science of it. I'll just be honest, I didn't do so great in neuroscience in medical school, and that was 30 years ago, so I don't remember much of it, and things have changed. So there is science behind how this all works. So one of the things actually that Armika just taught me, and now I don't have one up here. Oh, I do. Look, here's a pen. She said that she heard that if you put a pen in your mouth before you perform, it makes you smile. So I did that back there. Oh, well, there we go. Harriet thinks it's gross. I will clean it. That doesn't make you smile. But see, it made other people laugh when we start to banter, right? So, and I put my fork in my mouth back there earlier, and it made Armika and Allie laugh. So it didn't make me smile, so I don't know if it really works, but apparently the science says it does, so I don't know. So that's something just to think about. What are these small little things that we can do that might make us happy? So one of the things I was going to say is everybody force a bit of a smile. Just doing that makes you happier, right? Can you feel it? It just makes you, when you smile, there's something that makes your neurotransmitters and your hormones all better. So again, I'm not a neuroscientist, I'm a pediatrician, so I like the joy part and the polka dotty part and the fun part, but I don't necessarily remember all of the neurotransmitters except for some of the prescriptions I know how to do. The other one that I've listened to a bunch of podcasts about this, which was also really great. So I just searched on TED Talks for joy and happiness, and there is data about happiness, and this one was actually in the journal Science about spending money on others promotes happiness, which is something to really think about, right? When you do a donation to a charity, for instance, it can be very joyful. That just happened a few weeks ago at the YWCA Utah. we had a big room, and one of the ending things for this donation thing was everybody throwing up their paddles and turning them in, and it was just super fun, and it got you engaged in why you do it. But what's really interesting is the author of this study, she said actually she doesn't get the joy from that. And instead she gets the joy from the connection and working with some refugee families that they built a house, an apartment, they came together as a community and furnished the apartment for a refugee family. So it may not be money exactly, but the act of giving, I think, is really what we need to think about. So there is science behind it, and that's it. So in terms of the educational piece of this, that's all you get. The reason I think this is so important to talk about is that educators, we're all educators in this room, whatever we do and we teach, we end up creating ripples that extend way beyond the classroom, and I'll also say beyond the clinic. And so I wanted to just share a story that created really ripples during my career. Now, you asked me, Michael, if I knew I would be standing up here doing this. Absolutely not. So I came to Utah 30 years ago for my residency, and I stayed. I went and I worked out at the community health centers for 5 years. I didn't even know I was going to do academics, much less that I would have created an Academy of Health Science Educators and all of the education things I was doing. I had no idea. While I was there, so it was 1996, I had a medical student who rotated with me at the community health centers, Tracy Bumstead. Some of you may know her name. I'm not sure how many people are here from the medical education or the MD education world, but you may know her from that. But she rotated with me for a 6-week rotation, and I still remember, and this is 29 years ago, times in clinic with her and some of the things that happened with patients where I could share the way that I thought about things and the way that I connected with families. She decided to be a pediatrician. And so I wrote her letters for residency, and she matched and went to OHSU. She became the chief resident there. So I think about all of the people that she affected in terms of education, but also in terms of all of the patients. She stayed at OHSU and became their associate dean for curriculum for medical education. So somebody that I was in clinic with 29 years ago and had no idea. We were just teaching, we were working, we were learning from one another, working with the families. She ended up having probably, arguably, more impact in education than I have in different ways, right, on the kind of day-to-day. So just thinking about those small things that you may not realize, or the one-on-one interactions we have with students, you have no idea how many people that's going to impact. And that's what's really joyful about it, right? It's amazing the impact that we can have. So thinking about the ripples and the longevity that can happen too, from like just the center and then how it goes out. This I found online, but the rest of the photos are all photos I either took. You'll see there's a lot of silliness coming up, but this one was, thinking my ripples, but then her ripples, and it kind of continues to go and go and go. And that's true just with any patient that you see too, if you are in a clinical setting, but definitely in a classroom too. There was also, Tracy was in a Good Notes blog a few months ago, and so that's why I chose that story also, because she had also kind of shared that I had mentored her back then. So this is my joyful. Now we're going to make a switch. So I just wanted us to realize and think about, joy is already here in our worlds, right? So we have lots of things that we're doing. We're all very busy. There's change afoot. There's lots of things that we have to do. I have to go to do an accreditation visit for one of our programs later today, right? There's always things going on, but there's also great joy. So I want to celebrate it. And I want us to think about all of the things that we do, and all of you, what you do to make an impact in the world. Because really, this isn't about me at all. The photos and the little anecdotes are going to be about me. But the joys and what we do is really about all of you. So as I'm beginning this, does anybody want to say just shout out something that makes them joyful about teaching or about education? And if you do, you get a smiley face. Okay.
It won't hurt a bit, I got it.
Yes, and Michael's going to be our smiley face giver-outer.
The thrill I see in the face of learners.
Great. The thrill she sees in the face of learners. Like, that is amazing, right? And I'm just going to point, even if I know folks, so that those that I don't know, I don't have to.
I was going to say student surprises and joyfulness at their own success.
Oh, perfect. So students' surprises and joyfulness at their own success.
When, sort of like yours, but when learners come back to me later and tell me what an impact I had, and I didn't even realize it at the time.
Yeah. So when learners come back years later and tell what they, that you made an impact and you had no idea. I'll go here and then I'll go over that. We're going to do a couple more. There's going to be more chance to do this throughout. You will all get a button if you want a button. And they're very expensive, really easy to put on buttons. Not much. So.
Just watching that aha moment when they get it.
Yeah, perfect. That aha.
Yeah.
That aha moment when they get it and you're like, oh my gosh, it's just really fun. Over here.
I like to get to knowing the students and adding them to my life brings me joy. So getting to know them during the process, but also getting to know, or knowing them after the process.
That's great. So getting to know your students while you're teaching and while you're learning together, and then having them remain somewhat in your life. And that's really appropriate for, maybe you're a student of ours right now. So maybe. If anyone wants to know about the master's program, we have a couple master's students of education here in the room. You can ask.
I like watching my students build friendships amongst each other. That makes me really happy.
Great. So watching students build friendships amongst each other, that makes her happy, which is awesome. So you guys actually brought out in that a lot. There's one other kind of sciencey thing, which isn't really sciencey, but Catherine Price wrote a book about the power of fun. And I haven't read the book. I did watch the podcast. So just to be honest, I haven't read it. But it really resonated with me that these three components, and if you meet in the middle of the Venn diagram, and any of you who know me, I kind of like Venn diagrams, if you can get right in the middle, it's what she calls true fun, which is that you're really experiencing fun, you're laughing, you're giggling. And I would say in some ways, we maybe just did a little bit of this as a group, at least I hope we did. Because we were a little bit playful, we're a little lighthearted, we are wearing smiley face buttons. I'm wearing my pink polka dotted jacket that I haven't worn in a couple years because my daughter actually told me it was a Mean Girls jacket. So I stopped wearing it, but here I am because today it's very playful and joyful. So I don't take myself too seriously, as you can tell. So the playfulness, lightheartedness is really an important component. Connection, so connecting with others. This was interesting in her work because many people are introverts. I'm clearly not, but many are. And so you still need somewhat that connection. Some of this can happen on your own, but the connection with other people actually gets you usually to a space of true fun. So even introverts can have those deep connections, obviously. And I don't mean to say even introverts, but often people say, I'd rather be alone. In this context, I think to get to the true fun, usually sharing it and the act of sharing is important. That's her premise, at least. And then finally, flow. And what that means is that you're totally in it, that you are not thinking about anything else. So when we were listening to one another share, I bet we were not listening. Maybe you guys were thinking of some other things. I hope not, because I hope I'm going to shift your brains into, like, let's just think about what we're doing here today and being present. She has a framework for cultivating more true fun, which is SPARK, and that is to make space. So make space for the fun. So sometimes we do have to kind of clear out some time and think about, do you have space to actually have fun? Sometimes it seems like we don't have any, and we're in the midst of all of the trials and tribulations that are going on in our world, or you're preparing for something. But make the space to have a little bit of fun. Pursue your passions. That's super important. It needs to be something that you really like doing, that you love to do, whatever that might be. Attract fun. So try to have others see that you're joyful, and that's part of this today, right? Okay, now we're going to be wearing around some smiley faces, if you can get them on, because they are a little tricky to get on, to be honest. Hopefully that attracts a little bit of fun. Rebel a little bit, right? Where I'm really, I'm not a stodgy professor, I think, ever, but some of it is just to rebel, to be a little silly. Like, we take ourselves a little too seriously, I think, sometimes. So, and then keep at it. Keep doing it over and over again. So those are her 5 things. And this is a diamond painting. So all these diamond paintings that you're gonna see here are things that I do. So diamond painting, which is absolutely ridiculous, bedazzling, it's like paint by number with bedazzling gems, and then you just stick them on like a sticky thing, and you order them online, and it's like super easy, but actually it gives me great joy, and it's absolutely ridiculous. So you're gonna see some of my absolutely ridiculous diamond paintings. This is actually a tray, so it has some usefulness, but it was supposed to be a spark, right? A spark of whatever, but I don't know if you guys got that, I had to explain it. So when we do these things, how can we then sustain and amplify the joy? So that's what we're gonna go on. So we already went through some of the stories. I'm gonna just keep going because I wanna make sure we get through everything. I think we'll have time, but we need to think about there is joy, right? We all have joyful moments, and I think sometimes we forget about those joyful moments. So I want us to really celebrate small wins. So thinking about the small little things in our lives that are really good. Now, this is my freshman in college. So, he brought that up, that yeah, he's now a freshman. He's now 6'5". And my daughter is actually in musical theater in New York City as a junior. And so this is very appropriate, this photo of them. Which was just like there was a stage in Breckenridge, Colorado, and she just goes up there and starts dancing because that was just what she wore. So let's celebrate those things, right? So, and I'm a pediatrician, so I love kids. And part of why I decided to be a pediatrician was because I love the things they say to you. Like, right? It's just so silly and it's so playful and lighthearted and fun. So think about those things. So small wins for me doing this. I learned, and this is something I just learned, so maybe this isn't connected with community. During my presentation, you'll see I learned how to take, actually I guess these ones. I learned how to take a photo, because these were on my freezer, and I was able to take away the background so that it was a different background. Like, that's really cool. Like, that was a small win, which I thought was pretty cool. Also, I found out that ChatGPT could make a whole outline for this talk. So thank you, ChatGPT. They gave me the outline to start, including doing a couple of the slides. I didn't really like them, so I redid them all. And putting some words like that I could say. So that was pretty cool. So those are small wins, right? Things I didn't know before I started this. But also, let's think about taking the work that we have to do work to make the big wins, right? So there's the small wins that can bring us joy, but there's also then the work that can bring us the big wins. This is my nephew. Some of you know where this is headed because you know me, but others of you don't. This is my nephew, his name is Luke Hobson, and this was in Salt Lake City. My daughter and my husband are behind a long time ago, right? So this was probably 20 years ago, and he was still learning how to swim. So lots of time and work later, you get to him here, and this is when he won. I don't know if this might have just been a practice, this might have just been during it, but he swam for Texas, for the University of Texas, and he won NCAAs multiple times for the 200 freestyle. And he is a medalist from the Paris Olympics. So sometimes to get to this level, it's gonna take a long time, right? And a lot of extra work. But then we gotta remember to celebrate those things. And I think if I'm thinking about education here, it's really about those celebratory things that we do. So thinking graduation. There are those big events that we have. Now the Olympics is like absolutely ridiculously crazy, right? Like this is like an extreme example, although you look back at him when he was a little dude, and like who knew, right? He has good genes because my brother was a swimmer in college, and his mom was too. But you know, it's one of those things, that hard work, and that's what our students also do. So we need to take and look at their big wins also. So think about the small wins that get us to the big wins. So, did we already pass out the paper, Allie? Mm-hmm. Okay, so there are pieces of paper and bright colored pens on your tables. So go ahead and just jot down a recent small win or a joy. And this is something that you're going to share. So just so you know, it's something you can share. And it doesn't have to be anything profound, right? None of this is profound. My diamond paintings are not profound. But they give me joy. It can be educationally, but you know what? No, it can be whatever you want. Because, so I'm obviously sharing lots of different things that have nothing to do with education. And sometimes that just, you have to find joy in other places other than your work too. So find it wherever you want to find it. It might be the aha moment that a student selected the correct antibiotic to give for strep throat. Woohoo! I mean, you know, but that actually maybe for somebody who's practiced pediatrics for 30 years, that's not really a big deal, but it is for a new student, right? Or they were able to diagnose something. Or maybe you got a hug. Well, this is my pediatrician in me. I got a hug from a patient. I do get hugs from patients, right? That gives me great joy, and that's a small win or a recent joy. Okay. Crumple it up. All right. So this is the one this was the one where I learned how to take away the pictures. I took this picture on my desk yesterday, and then I was able to take away the background. Really kind of life-changing for me and very exciting. I kind of like my slides. All right, now, we're gonna have a snowball fight. Throw them at each other. All right, woo! Okay. Now, how many of you thought you were gonna be in a snowball fight today? Like, right, the weather is maybe looking good. So, now, if some snowballs landed around you, so go ahead, you can open them up during this and we can read them and maybe we'll share them with others. The other thing I want you to do is if you think of other small wins, go ahead and write them down and throw them around. Like throughout this, let's just have fun, right? Like how silly is that, right? This is also silly, like I'm in a bunch of balls this is in Washington, D.C. So I don't know if you guys saw, but here I'm sitting. These are supposed to be my snowballs. I had to find something that was approximate to a snowball. So I also want us to notice, what did that do? Was that true fun? Right? Was that lighthearted? It connected us. And I think for the moment that you were all participating in this snowball fight, there was some flow going on, right? So there's ways to do this that really aren't very, I don't know, big.
I would say it was hard to crumple that up. Oh, it was very attached to the crumple.
Oh!
Why are you making me crumple up my little win?
Oh, she didn't want to crumple her win.
But then I got to throw it and then it was fun.
Right, and then she threw it, and then that was joyful and fun, right? So, there we go. There was a method. Usually I'm not a crumpler. Like, I'm not a, yeah. Okay, so there we go. That was a little fun thing to do. And I'm still okay on time, right? Okay. So, find small joys, right? So I'm going to say, you guys are now going to remember for a long time that we had a snowball paper fight in a keynote talk. This one's one of mine. It's just like so ridiculously silly. It hangs in like a window, right? That gives me great joy. And it gave me great joy to sit there and put the little things on. I also have my new Apple Watch that has Snoopy on it, and it changes. And so, like, I just look down at my wrist and it's colorful and it changes and it makes me smile. So find silly little things that make you smile in the midst of kind of the chaos. That one I thought was pretty funny. He like moves around. That's it. So, also create rituals of reflection. So I'm not great at reflection, so really my diamond painting time is somewhat reflection. Like just take a little bit of time to think about things. You can, if you are somebody who likes to journal, that's great. But or sharing, talking with somebody else. But do take the time to reflect and think of what kinds of things are give you joy. right? And what kinds of things are you thankful for? I think it's also always important, and this is in some of that scientific literature, to remember, well, what's your why? Why are we doing this, right? And that grounds you in why you're doing what you do. So everybody just kind of think about what your why is. I'm not going to have you write this down. I'm not going to necessarily have people share it. I think that it is, for me, it's improving the health of a community through education, because that spreads it around, right? So I know I can make a bigger impact by educating than I can just by seeing an individual patient. In 2019, when I started in this role, we did a series of town halls and asked what the North Star was of our community. So this is pre-pandemic, and we did it in person. And I purposely didn't do any word clouds or any electronic things, because that's one of those making space, is like put away the electronics, put away some of the things, and just be. But this is what we said, and this is what we as a University of Utah health education community said. And really it is about the health, right? So what we're doing within education, our true north is health. And it's building health in the community in whatever aspect it is that you work in, because we all have some connection to health. So I just wanted to share that, because I think it was, I don't know, I found that very profound, and I had nothing to do with it because I didn't put any words in there. So, but this is all you. So thinking also about fostering connection and community. So that's what the Academy was created 12 years ago to do, is to bring educators together, to be together as community. These photos are, these are residents from the South Main Clinic at our end of year graduation party, our graduating residents. And that's something we always do, is building that community with our residents, with the attendings, with our dogs, with our kids. Everybody is involved, and really coming together as a community. The other one, where we're wet rats basically, is I think kind of funny. So I did ask Pia, Kea, and Kim's permission if I could share this photo. And when I did, they both started laughing. So we were at a national meeting and it started pouring rain. And we were going to like an event I think we were in St. Louis, and we were going to the gardens. And I mean, we were just absolutely drenched. And it's so funny. So now, this is, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, we still think back, or 5-10 years ago, about it and laugh about how we got caught in the rain. So thinking about those silly little things, right? But with people that you work with and create those kind of moments, that was a little bit, it obviously wasn't planned that it was going to rain on us. I think express gratitude and give back. I donate blood every 8 weeks, and it's just some time where I can sit there. Maybe that's my reflection time, but it's something that I can do that makes me feel good, because I'm giving back. And that goes back to that science of happiness, right? That act of giving is often something that can help you to think about joy. I think also when we're giving back in terms of what we do in education, that's often part of it as well. Maintaining a sense of wonder. I think that is part of what we need to do in everything, right? So this is a picture I took in April. This is one of my best friends from medical school. She lives on the Big Island of Hawaii, and we woke up and I looked and the volcano was erupting, and so we went. And that's an extraordinary wonder, right? But there's little wonders every day. There's the little bit of a glisten in a snowflake, or there's just so many different things we could look at. There's the sense of wonder about when a student does get it and you see that they've been struggling, and they've been struggling to connect and to be able to think through a clinical reasoning, and all of a sudden they get it. That's wonder. Or let's think about wonder in terms of research. What can you do in terms of coming up with a new research project? I think just remembering there's always that sense of wonder. The world is just an amazing place. And this is the last one. So all of this is to say, notice joy, nurture it, so bring it on, and then share joy. So you all should have just received some bubbles. Now, the only bubbles that you can get in Salt Lake City in the fall are wedding bubbles. So they're wedding bubbles. So go ahead and open them up, and we're gonna blow bubbles. And then throughout the day, I want you to blow bubbles if you ever feel happy and joyful, or maybe if you're feeling sad. Aren't bubbles fun? I mean, look at the wonder, right? That's also the wonder of bubbles. So, like, I don't know, do bubbles make you happy? They make me happy. And Harriet, they're cleaner than the pen in my mouth. So much better, so this doesn't give her the cringe. Woo! All right. I did buy happy face stickers to go on them, but they were too big. They were too big to stick on them. I was gonna stick them on last night, but they were too big. So if anybody wants a happy face sticker, or wants we have lots more of the buttons. Everybody can get a button. Please come up and get them. And I just want to say thank you for sharing these small moments. This was really fun for me. Joyful. Yeah, this is my latest diamond painting. Isn't that the best? So that's gonna go in our bathroom. And it's just so ridiculously silly, right? But it's kind of Buddy Boo, my dog. Like, he gives me joy, right? And how silly he is. And so I just want to say thank you. And thank you, everybody, for everything that you do for our students. And continue to be joyful, notice joy, and then spread it. Because if we spread it, our students are going to do better. Really, that's part of it, too. Like, everybody's going to do better if we can all be joyful. So, anybody want some buttons? That's it.